Innovación y, cómo no, sostenibilidad. Fabricamos una nueva economía y un mundo nuevo, en 3D, por supuesto. Pero sobre todo, fabricamos futuro. Y es que fabricamos empleo para más de 137.000 trabajadores. Fabricamos oportunidades globales de negocio en un espacio de más de 10 millones de metros cuadrados. Y fabricamos servicios de vanguardia y ventajas competitivas para más de 175 empresas. Consorcio de la Zona Franca. Fabricamos oportunidades para tu futuro.
Welcome to D-Factory, the factory that develops talent, technology, innovation, and of course in the heart of Barcelona. After all, D-Factory is consolidating Barcelona as a European capital of development for Industry 4.0, for digitalization, for transformation, creating 1,500 direct jobs and 5,000 indirect jobs in the city, close to the metro, the harbour and the airport. And promoted by the Consorcio de la Zona Franca de Barcelona.
It's a time of changes. Now is the time to move on. This is the time for solutions. Feel the motion. BNEW is born. BNEW, none of you. No one connected to you. BNEW, none of you. BNEW will do it for you. This is the time for solutions. BNEW is for you.
Muy buenas tardes a todos los presentes y a aquellas personas que nos siguen por streaming. Arrancamos la última sesión de la jornada y también desde Barcelona New Economy Week. Les saludamos nuevamente desde el plató de Real Estate y lo que vamos a hacer es seguir ahondando, seguir abordando cómo es la inversión inmobiliaria en los países mediterráneos, cuáles son las tendencias, las oportunidades o también los obstáculos que se presentan. Empezamos de nuevo con esta sesión, pero ahora desgranándola en esta segunda parte. Walid Moussa va a ser la persona que en este caso también siga moderando esta sesión, pero desde otra perspectiva. Recordamos, es presidente mundial de FIAPCI 2019-2020, también presidente de Real Estate del Sindicato del Líbano y del Comité Inmobiliario de Ascame. Walid, muchísimas gracias nuevamente por acompañarnos y abrimos ya esta segunda parte de la sesión donde vamos a abrir la visión a otros países también.
Gracias, Elizabeth, otra vez.
Gracias, Walid.
Me gustaría también agradecer la presencia de nuevos panelistas. We have with us today two new panelists here, and we have Antonio that still with us with the previous panel, and we have online Mr. Asfour. We cannot see him yet, but I think he's with us live from Jordan. Do you hear us, Mr. Asfour?
I hear you very well.
Perfect.
I'm happy to be with you. Yes, thank you.
Great to see you.
Great to see you as well.
So, we'll start with Alisa Bankowska, architect and urbanist and organizer of events and programs for the development of cities and innovation, founder and CEO of an innovation hub for cities, Synchrospace, and for sure, member in many organizations and member of FIAPCI Ukraine. With a big knowledge in urbanism and architecture, and we're going to discuss with you very interesting topics, along with Mr. Asfour as well, that is with us here. Mr. Asfour is a global green strategist. He served as board member in the World Green Council, and headed its MENA and Africa networks. Prior to that, he founded and chaired the Jordan Green Building Council, and he served as advisor to the USAID's energy sector capacity building program and as environment, water, and energy sector lead at the USAID Jordan Economic Development Program. You have a long profile, so we're going to stop it here. Last but not least, we have Mr. Daros Konstantinos from Greece, from the beautiful Greece. Daros is a civil engineer with an MBA that have started to work in the public and private construction from over 25 years, and have a big network in the real estate brokerage business with more than 26 offices in Greece, a company called B Real Estate, and is the president of the Greek Real Estate Agent Federation, OMASE, and the Real Estate Agent Association of Thessaloniki, a beautiful city in Greece. Let's start, ladies first, as they say. We're going to start by you. And would like to know a little bit about, as urbanist and architect, it's interesting to know what are the new trends in the city's development? How are the cities getting developed? What is new, especially after the COVID pandemic and the changes that are happening every day on all levels around the world? So can you tell us a little bit about the new trends in the cities?
Thank you. Thank you for a good question. I'm happy to be here in this panel with such interesting panelists. And I would like to point out three critical trends that affecting the development of cities and real estate sector. So the first one, that people seek to share, to shape their space around them. It is not enough for them just to be observers of implementation of city policy, for example. They want to be an active participant of all this process. It is clearly seen by the growing number of bottom-up initiatives and civic crowdfunding projects and projects for development of cities, as well as we see the growing interest to our programs, Synchrospace, that we conduct for development of territories. The second trend is the digitalization of physical space. We talk about augmented reality, chatbots, interactive objects, robotic elements, and other digital things that turn the physical spaces into phygital. You know, the word that combine physical and digital space, and provoke people to interact with space and share their companies, the brands, ideas, the owners of this space, brand and ideas. And this is relevant both for residential complexes, for hotel complexes, as well as for public spaces and commercial objects.
Did the COVID-19 accelerate those trends? It was a reason to accelerate?
Yes, definitely accelerate, because with this trend, it definitely accelerate, and we found new possibilities in it. And in our time, we should use all this possibility, not only traditional ways of communication, of development of territories. We have new instruments, new tools, and we should use them. And I would like to mention also the third important trend, that we have to consider the global climate change, of course. For example, to limit the global warming by 1.5%, we need to decrease the fossil fuel production by 6% annually by 2030. And with this, we need not only limit, we need to understand what to do with the territories and objects, real estate objects, that dependent on this production. And when we dig deeper, we can understand that in such transformation, in such changes, we can find the great opportunity for the new way of development of such territories in real estate.
Okay, I'm going to pass directly to Mr. Asfour, to Jordan, and ask him, can we can we say that sustainability and technology can drive real estate? How do you see it?
I can see that, of course, it can do that. And if you allow me, I'd like to touch upon 3 incidents that happened during the past 2 years that really affected the way people should think of building and of the built environment and of cities. One, of course, is COVID. Alisa, I think, mentioned how it helped accelerate the adoption of the 4th industrial revolution from a technological perspective. But I can look at this also from a carbon perspective, because now, for example, I'm talking to you from Amman. I did not have to take a plane to Barcelona, although I love the city. Instead, I'm sitting here from my home and speaking to you. So the purpose of my home itself has changed as a result. Technology has helped me also conserve the amount of carbon that I'm spending as a person. The second thing that came out of COVID is the importance of health and well-being within the built environment. And this has a lot of technological aspects as well. So now builders are or designers are focusing more on ensuring that we have healthier buildings, so that whenever we have a pandemic again, God forbid, we will be better positioned. The second reminder, yes. The second reminder of climate change was the heat and drought that Europe went through. It reminded us that we thought that water was abundant, but suddenly there's a huge issue that we need to deal with. The third is the crisis in Ukraine and the effect it has on the supply of energy all over. So the logical solution for this is to build more sustainable buildings and cities, cities that are net zero, cities that produce their own energy through renewable means. There's a big technological aspect there. Technologies are advancing, by the way. The cost of renewable energy is decreasing by the day. And I think another important point within our region, which requires a lot of attention, is the chance we have to reconstruct in a sustainable manner. Libya, Syria, Lebanon with the explosion there, everybody's now more aware of how we could utilize this challenge in turning it into an opportunity and building greener buildings and cities.
Very interesting, Mr. Asfour.
Well, you asked a very interesting question. Can I add something to this question? When we consider technology as something that stands beyond our lives and business, we make a dramatic mistake. So I agree with the Asfour, and I would like to add that our world is tech-driven now. So, and this trend will only grow. And those industry leaders who understand this will be in vanguard, while others who still hesitate, they will pay a lot to catch up with pioneers later. Let me share with you one important idea. This summer, when Thomas Heterwick, the architect of one British multiple awarded architectural company. He gave the TED talk on the topic of radically human building, and he rediscovered the functionality of buildings, stressing out that one of the functions of the building is to evoke emotions. So we, in our Voice of Space company, we not only share the approach, such approach, we also consider the real estate and spatial design, spatial development as a powerful communication tool that influence people and provoke them to interact with the objects around.
Yeah, that's part of what Antonio said about office spaces has been transformed into kind of community. It's not only about putting desk and sitting there, it's about communities of working communities where you can maybe work, do sports, have a garden, work maybe in an unofficial, informal way. So this transformation of those kind of spaces that have happened in Italy that Antonio just mentioned right now. But I will continue that in a while with you. I would like to jump to Greece because we have with us today a very special guest. Can you explain to us what's happening in the market in Greece now? And after the let's say during the pandemic and after the pandemic, how did the market react? Who are the main buyers? What's next? So let's start by that, and then I'll continue asking.
First of all, thank you for the invitation. Okay, it's a great honor that I'm here. So about Greece is a special thing because everybody's talking about the COVID or about the inflation now or what's going on. But the real estate market of Greece had 10 years before, that was the financial crisis of Greece, that was much more severe. So to be honest with you, first of all, we say that this is something that didn't affect in a great way the real estate of Greece. Even the year that COVID came up, 2020, we had an increase in the number of transactions, in the price of the real estate, and the things are running and running and running. What happened with this crisis is something that was very intense, and we cannot describe it in numbers. So now we see that the real estate market is going up. The last 3 years, the numbers say that we had an increase of approximately 23% in the prices, in the value of the properties, but this goes to all around Greece. If we go to the places that the foreign investors understand, I mean the main cities and the touristic places, then the increase was more than 40–50%, something like that. So at the moment, Greece is running with great numbers, but the reality is that it's recovering from the 10 years of crisis and not from what happened with the COVID. The new thing is that the latest year we have a lot of foreign investors. Approximately 50% of the buyers are foreign investors, that they see an opportunity as an upcoming market in Greece. Greece is, everybody says that it has very nice places. Most of you have visited Greece or the nice resorts that there are. But the issue is that now it seems that there is an added value to an investment. We have a lot of investments from, to be honest with you, from all over the world. We have from Europe, we have from the United States, we have a great number from Israel that they're investing a lot in Greece, they're more familiar with Greece, and the things keep running up. The only thing that changed with COVID is the fact that there are more investors that were added to this, to the current investors, because we're a nice place, so we have now the digital nomads, the people that come to live there and to work from distance. And generally, all the things show that the things are going much better. The tourism sector, for example, that we heard before about Italy, there were islands in Greece this year that had a raise of approximately 50% in the number of the tourists that came due to the, if you compare it to the previous year. So now we have a lot of investors and chains of hotels that they want to invest to make bigger hotels, to make different kind of resorts. So all of these things seem that are running very quickly in Greece for the first time after a lot of years.
So we're talking about residential and about the touristic sector. What about the commercial and the retail?
The commercial was the part, let's say, of the real estate that was more affected, but now the latest, let's say, 3 years after COVID, we see that a lot of companies have put again, let's say, Greece on their map. We see that there is a great demand for big office spaces that we don't have in so much capacity. So there is an issue now in the market. We see companies that come and ask for spaces that wasn't usual for Greece, because Greece didn't have big companies that were operating. Now we have, so we need kind of properties that there are not on the market, so they have to be created. But we see that also in this sector, now the things started running in this part. And the things, I mean...
Is there a balance in the sales between all the regions? Because Greece have many regions, as well have the islands. You know, this is the only place that we talk about islands and mainland. So is there any kind of balance between the transaction between the cities and the islands?
No, there are different kind of, most of the people that buy for investments, or different kind of investments. And both kind of investments have the reason for happening. I mean, that is value that can produce to whichever will be the investor. We don't see this great increase, let's say, in smaller cities, but between the big cities and the islands, it's a little bit balanced, to be honest with you. It's more or less the same, yes.
Antonio, we've heard lately a lot about crowdfunding, civic crowdfunding in Italy. And we know that there's a law as well that is encouraging people to go towards that direction. Can you explain that for us, please?
Absolutely. Italy has basically enacted a law some years ago that has been usually mostly in the public and private partnership to develop public infrastructure used and managed by private. And this has been an innovation about how to do this, because it's nothing new. If you see how the old club of the city has made constituted by several people that maybe 200 years ago they joined to build the building. In this time, basically, the civic crowdfunding has two main areas that the law is pushing. One is the energetic. We call the energetic associations. So basically, Italy needs energy as everybody in Europe. And in the cities, somebody has a roof, somebody no. So what they do is to make an alliance between people that share the network of the line of energy. Basically, some of them put the solar panel on the roof, some no. But for example, the bar or the shop that is consuming a lot of energy can participate to this kind of initiative, entering in the civic crowdfunding platform, basically subscribing there, everything, paying there. And on that side, the civic web crowdfunding provides him a low rate of energy, because it's produced by the solar panel of the neighbors. And the same form provide the law push to have a little of income produced by this community has to be used for social impact. Is why most of this community has a social manager. Who is this guy? Usually he is a member of a local association of for helping people, or basically you put back on the society 5,000 to 6,000 euros per year to make an event, to take back the people and to try to promote them, to educate them to the environmental style of living. Another side of this type is the swimming pool and the sport facility. So Italy has tried to, because there is not many money, to try to involve the population to cooperate to solve the issue of the energy and the public facilities.
Interesting, you know, and an example about energy is in my country, Lebanon. We are passing through a very tough economical crisis, and we have a problem of energy. So there's no supply of electricity enough for people, even, let's say, there's no supply at all. But what's happening is that people are creating their own energy, and now you can see in all the houses and all the factories and all, you can see solar panels, and this have led to make Lebanon one of maybe relatively one of the most advanced country in producing electricity. Why? Because there's no supply, and people are obliged to handle their own issues and produce electricity. Even you can see now in the supermarkets, they're doing all the parkings, outdoor parkings, they're doing solar panels because they need to, because they're producing electricity by their own generators, and they're buying diesel, and the prices are going up. So they need to find a way to reduce costs, and the solar panel and the solar energy is being one of the solutions. So amazing how can things sometimes happen by coincidence, but for the greater good. Let's talk a little bit about net zero. And with all talking about now the increase of the power supply and energy and the petroleum, are we able anytime soon in the region, especially in the Mediterranean region, to talk about net zero? I know that Norway is one of the countries that had, Norway will be, I think in 30 years, a country that could get to this net zero. But are those countries in the Mediterranean, with all what's happening and the needs of energy and the problem of gas supply, and maybe some countries are talking about maybe using old methods to produce energy, are we able to talk about net zero?
I'm sure that the region of net zero goals, it is definitely a huge and complicated question. But yes, we can reach these goals by organizing of the way of new energy solutions, etc., in a correct way. So what I mean, we have, for example, an experience when Ukraine declared that we will close the coal-fired plants and coal mining production until 2035. And before all the refusing of something, we need first to understand what will replace those things from which we plan to refuse. And that's why in 2021, together with the United Nations Development Program and 4 ministries of Ukraine and the administrations of 2 cities, we conducted the program for transformation of coal mining regions. So it is also about new way of thinking, new way of getting energy, new revitalization of the non-used infrastructure, etc. So for this, we did the deep learning research, deep learning to deep listening to people and deep listening to environment. Based on these results of this research, we developed the tasks focused on the specific of each city and each territory and real estate objects in these areas. And we invited international experts and united teams of startups, of business, of scientists and urban activists to propose the solution for this transformation. And as a result for this, we get 15 solutions, including the recreational and industrial parks and new alternative energy solutions for these territories, etc. So when we can unite all the stakeholders of the process, we can influence the transformation and find solutions in a new way. So it is important to, when we say that net zero, yes, it is a big and complicated goal, but we need to involve for solving of this, to reaching of this goal, we need to involve all the stakeholders and organize the innovative, searching of innovative solutions for this. And such programs, as well as such civic crowdfunding approach, as Antonio said, that involve a lot of stakeholders in one place, it's the best solution for reach the best result.
Yeah, a great example given by Antonio. And I think one of the key elements here is the private-public sector partnership in those kind of programs. Hopefully, we will be able to pass this difficult, let's say, era, because we're living in an abnormal era, and get back to focus on our dream. And here I would like to ask Mr. Asfour about the ESG. Are we able, do you think that ESG can work in our Mediterranean countries? Is it possible to apply them? And what are the obstacles and what could be the solutions in order to push forward those kind of initiatives?
Okay, so before I answer this question, I'd like to comment a little bit on the net zero part. I think the first step towards net zero is energy efficiency. If we are able to create or build or retrofit buildings in a way that is much more energy efficient, then the net zero goal will become more possible. So that was one point I wanted to mention. Regarding the ESG, there's a lot of talk about ESG nowadays, and every now and then, as you can see, something new comes up and it becomes a trend, and something else comes and replaces it. I don't think there is any reason for why this will not work in our region. I think we have what it requires, but maybe the first step to become more ESG friendly starts with the culture of companies working within sectors. And this, I think, is the main challenge. But I think we should see also the economic value from starting to adopt these approaches, because this is where the market is going. So the short answer is yes, but there's a lot that needs to be done in order to better spread the ESG culture within the region. And last thing, it's not just about a company getting a certificate. It's everybody within this company believing in the purpose of receiving that certificate.
Since you talked about buildings, do you think can all application and scientific data goals help to design more energy efficient building? improve power storage and optimize renewable energy?
I think the energy is developing by the day, and we've seen, until now, whenever I speak about green buildings, people come and tell me, but it's too expensive. I think people still maintain the mindset that existed when renewable energy didn't make economic sense. Now things are totally different. You mentioned the example of Lebanon, how people have resorted to renewable energy, and how they're finding it as a great solution. This is market driven. It's not it's not guided by government support or subsidies and so on. Jordan is in a similar situation. I think here we produce about 27% of the energy is produced through renewable sources. And at this stage, I've forgotten the question.
No, it's fine. If we go back to Greece, it's very interesting what's happening in Greece. It's attracting investors, and we've been seeing a very active market. And there's a program I'd like to discuss, the residency program that have been applied in the last year, giving to foreigners, non-European, residency if they invest 250,000 euro in a property. So a lot of questions have been coming about this issue, because you know that there was some statement about changing a little bit in this matter. Can you explain to us more about this program, and then what could be the changing that will happen?
Okay, first of all, this program was a very good program, as you said. Provided the residents, we called it Golden Visa, for non-European Union citizens that wanted to work or to be around in the European Union, buying only a property or a part of a property that had a value of 250,000. This was something very good for us, the people of real estate, because this amount of money was not so high. It was lower than any other country of the European Union countries. So we had a lot of people from around the world that invest in Greece, buying this kind of properties and getting the residence that was for 5 years, but then could be renewed, so it would be lifetime residence. Okay, there is an anxiety because in the International Exhibition of Thessaloniki that the Prime Minister of Greece made an announcement that the limit for this would be 500,000. I mean, it would be double. We made a lot of statements of the press. We talked a lot with the ministers and the Prime Minister, because we considered that for the market was not was something that could cause great damage. The first stage was that okay, they said that they will not do it from now. They would be from spring, from April or March or April. And then there is another issue that maybe would also help the Greek economy, that it's on discussion now with the minister, that the limit would be 500,000 for the big cities, but for the smaller cities it would be 250, so that would be, let's say, competitive to the other countries of the European Union. We're in a process, we are under a lot of negotiation with the government, and I hope that at the end we will manage to keep it a little bit lower than that.
So it will be between the 250 and maybe the...
now we're under negotiation, everything is open, from that we will keep it like this, or that there will be some limits in between. We don't know exactly, you're just on the spot of the negotiation. So we'll see soon.
Good luck.
We'll do the best.
Yeah, good luck.
Promise.
Good luck. I know that's it's a very important issue. Alisa, artificial intelligence, can you give us a little bit of examples on the artificial intelligence? How can they improve sustainability in buildings and make construction more environment friendly?
Thank you for the question. I would like to share an example from United Arab Emirates that the Ministry of Economy, they created their digital metaverse office. So that covers a lot of purposes. It's a huge multi-story building that covers each story of different purposes. And the interesting thing is that they created such an office not only because innovations and technology and development like claimed in the DNA of all the country. Because they did it because such approach let them decrease the expenses of buildings maintenance. So we are talking now about the being sustainable driven and tech driven, and technology will push real estate to digital more and more. And now we have a question and a task for real estate management companies, how to operate both buildings in physical space and their digital twins in metaverse. So this question of the next stage, yes, of course, United Arab Emirates are the first on this way, but we should consider when we are talking about the development of territories, development of real estate objects, that we need to manage both sides. So we need to work in digital environment.
Very, very interesting. I think Dubai and United Arab Emirates have taken a lot of initiative toward that direction, so especially in everything that's building sustainability. And I think that they have, because they're obliged to do that due to the temperature and the energy problem that they have, and but they were smart enough to take initiatives and make very interesting sustainable projects and initiatives. Mr. Asfour, if I would like to end the session by a question with you. Are you positive about really the policies, the new policies that say, and artificial intelligence and data collection, all those, let's say, ways could help in the climate change, so we can little bit get back to our normal climate and help our little planet to be more sustainable and more eco-friendly?
Now, you might not know, but my master's is in something called positive leadership, and it's from Spain. So I have to be positive. We all need to be positive. We don't have any other choice. Now, it's good to be positive, but there's a difference between what is possible and what is positive, of course. So from what I've been seeing during the years, I think there is still a chance and there is an opportunity we need to embrace. In Jordan, for example, I was a member in a royal committee that was responsible for integrating climate change into the economy and creating what we call a green economy. If everybody starts looking at things from this perspective, turning the challenge into an opportunity and working collectively on a common goal, I think this is possible. And what I would like to conclude with is to always remind ourselves that the Mediterranean region is unique. We share so much in common. And I think we really need to start thinking of how we could maybe turn these commonalities into areas of cooperation. It's nice, for example, to mention examples in Dubai. They're doing a great job, but we have a completely different climate. We have a completely different building stock, a different culture, and so on. So the question is, how could we utilize what we have in creating this more positive future you're talking about?
Thank you, Mr. Asfour, live from Jordan. Thank you, our panelists, for being with us, especially the people that have traveled, our international guests, to come here. And hopefully we'll be together soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bueno, Walid, veo que ya habéis concluido la sesión. ¿No habéis concluido?
Sí, sí.
Vale, que te escuchaba. Muchísimas gracias a todos por participar, por hacernos este análisis de los mercados inmobiliarios en cuanto a los países mediterráneos. Thanks. Gracias, Walid, por haber moderado esta sesión. De hecho, es la última ya. Y de esta manera nosotros vamos a cerrar la tercera edición del Barcelona New Economy Week. Nos despedimos ya desde el plató de Real Estate, pero no quiero despedirme sin antes agradecer a todas aquellas personas que no las ven, pero que están justo detrás de las cámaras y han hecho posible que todo esto sea una realidad. Son muchos los que han trabajado intensamente. Nuestros compañeros, los técnicos que están justo aquí detrás, han trabajado intensamente para que esto saliera adelante. También desde el consorcio de la Zona Franca, que llevan trabajando durante muchísimos meses para que estos 4 días hayan sido todo un éxito y que este evento continúa siendo un referente de la nueva economía. Nos despedimos ya. Muchísimas gracias por confiar en el BNEW y hasta el año que viene.
Fabricamos talento, fabricamos innovación y, cómo no, sostenibilidad. Fabricamos una nueva economía y un mundo nuevo, en 3D, por supuesto. Pero sobre todo, fabricamos futuro. Y es que fabricamos empleo para más de 137.000 trabajadores. Fabricamos oportunidades globales de negocio en un espacio de más de 10 millones de metros cuadrados. Y fabricamos servicios de vanguardia y ventajas competitivas para más de 175 empresas. Consorcio de la Zona Franca. Fabricamos oportunidades para tu futuro.
Welcome to D Factory, the factory that develops talent, technology, innovation, and of course in the heart of Barcelona. After all, D Factory is consolidating Barcelona as a European capital of development for Industry 4.0, for digitalization, for transformation, creating 1,500 direct jobs and 5,000 indirect jobs in the city, close to the metro, the harbour and the airport. And promoted by the Consorcio de la Zona Franca de Barcelona.